My research shows that leaders differ in their motivation, what we as economists would call preference, a revealed preference, when it comes to their role of norm enforcers in groups. I've done research on real leaders in a forest management context, where we elicit the willingness to punish group members if they don't cooperate with others. And we see a very diverse pattern. Some leaders are willing to punish those who don't cooperate, but we also see leaders who we call antisocial leaders. They just like to punish. They are very harmful when it comes to the results, because you can show that groups, in this context, this is forest management in Ethiopia, when it comes to the performance of the groups in terms of the forest, how good is the forest, you see that these groups who have these antisocial leaders do actually significantly worse compared to other groups, in particular those who are having leaders who are really effective in the sense that they punish the ones who don't cooperate. And since forest management is one of the key situations where you have a collective action problem, the classic tragedy of the commons, you have a joint property which you have to protect, these results are very strong in the sense that they show us that leadership in itself is not only important, but what type of leader you have and how the leader sees his position and uses his situation in an effective way is really something which we need to understand further. And I hope these results are one important step in that direction.
How can we translate this to Western Europe?
Oh, we can, if we just look around and realize that there are actually many diverse leaders around us. And I think one of the key open questions is, why does it happen that at some points we see particular leaders rising to the top, which we are surprised to be there. And in other contexts, we see actually very effective and efficient leaders, and we can be happy about them, right? So what are the mechanisms that societies actually have in order to select or sometimes only implicitly select the right leaders? But what the results I think already show now is that we should be aware of heterogeneity. For economists, it's basically a key aspect that people are different. But sometimes in the past, economists have forgotten that a little bit because they focus on this one homo economicus type who would only respond to incentives. But these results show that motivations are much more diverse. We have people who care about fairness, people who care about efficiency, and if you have such a leader, he can actually be very beneficial for the group. But if you have the antisocial type, who is actually very spiteful, he can be extremely harmful. And this is what we should be aware of, that this heterogeneity exists, and once it comes into such situations where these different motives actually come into a powerful situation, like where a leader is, they will have these strong effects.
So economists can learn a lot from psychologists.
I think so, because in particular when it comes to opening the black box, how people make decisions, how people interact with each other, when it comes to what are the different motives that we have, I think economists have become experts when it comes to material, monetary incentives and these things. But we all know that there are many other aspects that play an important role in our life, right? And this is not only about fairness, it's about other things we care. There's a lot of intrinsic motivation which drives our behavior probably at the workplace. And what economists, I think, can learn from psychologists is to be a bit more open-minded and try to integrate these kind of hypotheses that come from what other motives play a role, how they interact with monetary incentives, and what the best form of leadership actually comes out of this.